starts clear back in 1917 when my mother found her very first piece of dinosaur bone.
Dave, before you start, you have till 6.
Okay, anyway, she was 5 years old, and when she found this strange rock, the hired man told her about these animals that no longer lived on the face of the earth, and this was a piece of one of them. It really started her interest. And for all of her life, she saw pieces like this in the ground, collected a few of them, was interested, and I was born into that. And then in 1971, we found our first significant dinosaur remains, and those, by the way, are on display in the Old Trail Museum to this day. They were a part of a duck-billed dinosaur skeleton that basically just fell over and died and was buried that way. And we traveled the state of Montana and discovered that at that time there was only one dinosaur on display in the entire state, even though this state had produced the majority of dinosaurs in a lot of big museums all over the world. And that made us kind of upset, so at that point we decided we were going to build our own museum and mount our own dinosaur. The dinosaur that was on display was mounted by a couple of ranchers down clear at the other end of the state, a little town called Ekalaka, Montana. It was on display in the basement of the high school in what passed for a little county museum for them. So we decided if they could do it, we could too. In 1977, I discovered what I thought would be our dinosaur to put on display. And through spring of '78 into the summer, Lori and I and Mother would go out and dig on that. And Mother wasn't much of a digger. She liked to look, she liked to find, she was very, very good at identification. But digging holes in the ground, I think she dug enough fence posts in her lifetime that just wasn't her favorite thing. Anyway, the upshot of it all is this one evening, about the end of June 1978, we were out working on the quarry. Toward the end of the day, Mother decided to do what she usually would do and take a walk and look for stuff while Lori and I, packed up and cleaned up and put the tools away and all of that sort of thing. And on the way back to the vehicle, we happened to run into Mother sitting there on this little mound of dirt, big smile on her face, saying, "Look what I found." And she held up this little tiny duck-billed dinosaur vertebrae. And it looks just like that one right there. Anyway, we got to looking ourselves, Lori and I, and within just a couple minutes, we had found more vertebrae. I had found a piece of a jaw. And one of the things about what we were doing back then, we had read a lot about what had been found. And duck-billed dinosaurs especially are unique in that they have this dental battery. They have teeth like nothing else in the world. And if you even see a picture of a duck-billed dinosaur jaw, you should be able to identify if something is or isn't part of a duck-billed dinosaur if you see its teeth. And so within 10 minutes we knew we had baby duck-billed dinosaur. But what we didn't know is we knew that in the fossil record, if it matched the modern record at all, what we would see is we would see a lot of babies dead and buried and preserved, and we'd see a lot of old animals dead and buried and preserved, not much in between. If you think about the modern realm, that's pretty much what happens. Well, it turns out that this particular area is unique. There's only 3 or 4 spots even to this day in the entire world where we've now seen that the preservation conditions were such that baby bones were actually preserved. When we collected these, we truly believed that big museums did not display baby bones because they just really aren't that impressive. And to this day, people, we bring people into the gallery, and this was in a case against the wall, and I'd say these bones right here changed the entire way the world understands dinosaurs. They changed their belief from dinosaurs just being cold-blooded, overgrown lizards to being something that actually was active, cared for their young, nested in colonies, roamed in herds, things like that. These bones did that. But people come in and look and say, gee, that's nice. Man, look at this big thing here. This is... So hopefully, this will change some of that. Back to the story, though. What we didn't know was these bones were unique. And it wasn't but a couple weeks after this that Jack Horner and Bob Macula stopped in our little shop and museum, and we got to showing them these pieces, and Jack had been working at Princeton and had visited all the big museums back east. He was the one that knew that these were not present in other museums, and these bones actually became the very first dinosaur bones recognized as baby dinosaur remains from North America. And the very first baby dinosaur bones found in a nest anywhere in the world. So that's kind of the discovery and the history of this in a nutshell. But just as kind of a sidebar for the babies, the adult Maiasaurus skull that the type of the animals are described from is the skull that's up on top here. That's a casting of the original adult skull that was found about 100 yards away from where these babies were found. And to me, that's actually as important as this, because that skull was my wife's discovery. That is kind of the claim to how we know what adult went with what baby and that sort of thing. So, we have the correlation. And so it's kind of nice to have them out here now in the middle where people kind of were forced to pay more attention to it all.